I am part of the rank and file, absolutely. I've been asked to come here today to speak a little bit about our steel industry and what's currently going on. And it's an industry I've been part of since leaving school 25 years ago. And this is the case for a lot of the guys I work with. It's a job for life. We are lifers. It's a phrase you hear in the first couple of hours, your first day when you start as an apprentice. It's a promise made to you when you start. You know what I mean? It's a job for life. Steel is a foundation industry in the UK. Whether you like it or not, steel plays a massive part in all our lives. From the cars we drive, the knives and forks we use to eat, the glasses we wear on our faces, or the buildings, office blocks and factories we work in. They're all made using steel. But the market is changing. And our customers want to be able to sell their products with a badge saying made with green steel. And for us in Port Talbot, this means transitioning to a format where steel is made using electric arc furnaces rather than our traditional blast furnace models. Now let me be clear, we're not opposing the building of an electric arc furnace to produce green steel. The most important thing for us and what we're opposing is the way in which we get there, the transition. That's what the workforce in Port Talbot voted for, that's what we're opposing. TAP have proposed and are so far pursuing their plan of complete closure of both blast furnaces and all the heavy end assets associated with iron production, destroying 2,800 livelihoods between Port Talbot and Wyatt on its way. That's 2,800 families like mine, 2,800 households directly affected. They haven't considered the contractor families, the contractor workforce, guys I've worked with for years. They're already being affected. We're already seeing a loss of those. They haven't considered the engineering and services companies that rely on the steel industry for their existence. These changes will have a devastating impact on our local area and a knock-on effect across South Wales. We have many examples across South Wales of where heavy industry once stood, whether it be coal mines, iron foundries, steelworks or docks. We've lost an awful lot. And what's been left are scars on our landscapes as a reminder of an industry lost and communities in destitution. Port Talbot is the last bastion of heavy industry in South Wales. We've always been there. For over 100 years, we've absorbed some of the displaced workers when other industries have gone. But we really are the last bastion of heavy industry in South Wales. Where will we go? Where will my 2,800 brothers and sisters in the steel industry go? We as a workforce have bent over backwards every time we've been called on to save our industry. We've given up pay, we've given up bonuses, we've changed terms and conditions, and in 2016 we gave up our pension scheme, with the government then changing the rules around pension schemes to allow TACA to absolve themselves of all responsibility to the scheme and its members. That alone was worth more than £2 billion to TACA. Time and time again we've answered the call, and now we're being asked to pay for our future, for our kids' futures, with jobs, and it's not fair. We've heard stories in the media of the plant falling apart and of it being left in an unsafe condition. This is only as a result of years of underinvestment by our owners and a managed decline of our assets. We've already seen the accelerated closure of our coke ovens, and these were the last coke ovens in the UK. TACA put out videos of the closure all over social media as if it was something to be proud of. Without us fighting, and without government intervention, the rest of the heavy end will go the same way. Tata Steel, as a company, made £3 billion EBIT and £900 million net profits in 2022-2023. It's got reserves of £1.6 billion. It's paid out dividends of £1.4 billion between 2019 and 2023. The revenue has grown 47% over the last 5 years, with its holding company describing 2023 as its best year ever. They really are a very rich company. Tata and our politicians talk of transition funds and support for affected people, businesses and communities. These same promises were made to communities like Evervale. They're more than 20 years on from the closure of their steel industry, and they're still struggling to climb the socio-economic ladder. The transition funds and investment either don't come to fruition or don't make a difference to the ordinary working class people like me in those areas. And this is why it's so important for us to fight. We're fighting for a fair transition, where we retain one blast furnace operation at least until the electric arc furnace is brought online. This would mean that we would not have to rely on imported steel from halfway around the world. Steel that is still produced in blast furnaces, but where they are more carbon intensive than ours. We continue to be self-sufficient. We wouldn't have to change supply contracts for raw materials because they already exist. And we would have a guaranteed supply for our hot mill and downstream operations, preserving jobs for the future and massively changing the numbers of redundancies that we see. This is a realistic and achievable ask. It's a transition that is a reality in the Chinese-owned British steel plant in Scunthorpe. It is a reality in the Tata plant in Muiden in Holland. And it is a reality in our competitors' plants across Europe. And whilst Tata are closing our blast furnaces, they're bringing them online in Holland and in India. The difference in all these cases is the support from the owners and the respective governments. We are being failed by our owners and by our government. Speaking of governments, the Tories in London have gifted Tata £500 million of our taxpayers' cash to build electric arc furnaces, but with no guarantees around jobs or future. The government has shown they have absolutely no industrial strategy and no vision for UK steel. When you consider that the total value of the UK steel industry is around £780 million, and the Labour Party have already pledged £3 billion, why wouldn't we take a stake in the UK steel industry?
Yeah.
One swipe of a pen in Westminster can change procurement rules so that any UK infrastructure products using steel are made using our own UK steel. This alone will put billions back into the public purse. There's a free port being set up around Port Talbot to try to attract business into the area. But we need more from our politicians. We need sure and definite policy around the Freeport area to be able to attract the businesses and to retain employment in this area, and it needs to be now, not over the next 5 or 6 years. It'll be too late by then. There's been talk of electric vehicle battery plants and offshore wind turbines. Why shouldn't they be manufactured and built in Port Talbot? We need our politicians to do more for us. Why aren't Tata listening to the Labour Party? Why aren't they considering their pledge of investment to the UK steel industry? Labour have openly told Tata not to make any irreversible decisions until after a general election. Why are Tata so hell-bent on pursuing this devastating plan? We've returned our ballots as Unite the Union. We have voted to fight for our industry with everything up to and including strike action. We are hoping that community and GMB unions join with us on conclusion of their ballots this week, so that we can fight together to secure a better transition for our industry. Because make no mistake, the pressure we've exerted so far has influenced Tata and our politicians, and it will continue to influence them. It is all about choices. The choices of our politicians regarding support for the UK steel industry can and will influence Tata's choices on the future of our industry. What we've seen so far is nothing short of industrial vandalism. Deindustrialisation is a choice. It was a political choice in the 80s when we saw the closure of all the collieries and everything else that went along with it. And it's a political choice now. We've shown that there is an alternative. Our industry should be there as an opportunity for future generations, as it was there for me and my colleagues. The market for green steel is set to grow massively in the coming years. We can and should be there to meet that demand. With proper investment, we can grow the industry. We can see more jobs, not fewer, more employment, not less, more prosperity, and thriving communities, not the shells of communities that have been left across South Wales as a result of deindustrialisation. A great trade unionist named Bob Crow once said, "If you fight, you won't always win, but if you don't fight, you will always lose." We are here to fight for our industry, and fight we will, in solidarity.